Now, at this point, I don't think I specifically knew what that emotional baggage was. I hadn't actually connected all of the dots. I don't think I could completely articulate that yet. But I knew that I had some sort of emotional weight on me that needed to go. Welcome to The Onion Peel, a show where we get real, raw, and honest about life. It's a space where authenticity lives and hope resides. The Onion Peel is a place where we peel back the layers of our stories and discover the unexpected flavoring that each one brings. Hey guys, I'm your host and semi-crazy Christian, Angela McConnell. I'm a middle-aged mom of 5 with a dead husband, and I've been through some shit in my life. Now, I'm on a mission to bring hope to the world. So join me as we journey through this onion and find hope in the tears. You ready to peel this thing? Bow chicka wow wow. Hey guys, welcome to the Onion Peel. No reason for that intro, just felt like it. So, I hope you guys are all doing well. I am doing exceptionally well. Can't tell. And I don't have any specific reason why I'm doing exceptionally well. I just have found a little lighter bounce in my step. Do you ever have that happen? Where you just feel a little lighter? And so you sort of skip through your day instead of walk it? Yeah, it's like that. All right, today, here's what I want to talk about. I want to discuss what it is to give up your stuff. The things that you hold on to that you think either define you or gives you security or somehow represents your personal worth. Yeah, those things. And I can speak on this because I had to get rid of all my stuff. And having to purge my entire life was one of the most life-changing gifts I've ever received. I unattached from everything, which then provided me the opportunity to find the real me. And I'm going to tell you what, that is an absolutely amazing place to live in because it's a place of truth. But before I get into all the details, we're going to take just a minute for a commercial break. I told you it was coming. Here it is. What if it was possible to get fresh groceries delivered right to your front door? Think of all the time that you'd have. Well, Instacart gives you unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Way better than the other guys that nickel and dime you every time you use their app. And if you forget one ingredient while you're making dinner, Instacart can deliver that ingredient to your front door in as little as 1 hour. Every item is hand selected to your personal preference, so if you want extra ripe bananas, then that's what they'll shop for. There are also multiple stores that you can shop from, all in the same trip if needed. To start your free 14-day trial, follow the link in my show notes to let Instacart know that I sent you and also to help support the show. With Instacart, you'll never have to step foot in a grocery store again. Okay, I'm back. I know that wasn't as exciting for you guys as it was for me, but I loved it. Okay, let's get going. So, as we know, I was financially wiped out after Don died. And going from 2 incomes down to 1 is huge just in and of itself. Many people can relate to that. And as soon as Don died, the first thing that went immediately was his truck. Now, I didn't really, to be honest with you, even make that choice. And I shared that in my very early episodes. That decision was taken from me, which is unfortunate. I'm not saying that I would have kept his truck. I mean, that was the place that, he did the deed. That being said, there's a slight chance I might have kept it. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but it was his truck, and I do have some boys that might have wanted their dad's truck. Or maybe they wouldn't have. Maybe we just would have said, ew, can't have that. Bad juju, got to get it out. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I don't need to even dwell on it because the decision was made that his truck was sold immediately. Like legit the next day after he died. Or maybe the day after that. It was really quick. So that was gone. The next thing that I had to sell that was done again rather quickly was our boat and our boat hoist, which if any of you live on a lake, you know that hoists are kind of a expensive item. So both of those things were sold immediately. And thank God they sold quickly. I think we sold the boat back to like a dealership, and the hoist, somebody on the lake just came and purchased. So boom, those 3 big ticket items gone. The next thing after that was sold relatively quick was our water trampoline. I don't know, you guys have probably seen them. They're just those big blow up trampolines. Ours was gold and blue. And it was a riot. We loved that thing. The kids adored it. And we kept it for the rest of that summer. And then after that, I sold it. Because none of us were really, as we discovered pretty quickly, in a animated kind of mood to want to go out and do that. So that went. Not like that was worth some great value, but it was definitely a significant emotional attachment that we had, which was a symbol of what our life was on the lake. And now that was gone. So got rid of the water tramp. Then later on, I had a garage sale. And I actually had a couple garage sales overall while we were still at the house. But the first one I had was the first go around of getting stuff cleaned out and in my mind trying to make some money. And I'm going to tell you what, I legit ended up giving my shit away. I made nothing at that garage sale. Cleaned out a lot of stuff, but hardly made any money. I couldn't believe the little amount of money that I actually made at it. It was actually kind of bizarre, to be honest with you. I can tell you now, looking back, that me making no money at that garage sale was the first hint that a bigger lesson was coming down the road. But anyway, so that was the garage sale. Now fast forward to right after the wedding of my brother and sister-in-laws that I just talked about, so about 18 months out. And it was time to get rid of my grand piano. Now, I know, oh, poor Ann, she has to get rid of her grand piano. I get it. But for me, that piano meant something major to me. I had always wanted one. It was the type that was the player piano, so I could just put in a CD and the piano would play. So I loved that thing. 4th of July, I'd have all kinds of patriotic music playing. I'd have the windows cranked open, and there, throughout my yard, out onto the lake, God Bless America was playing. It was awesome. And don't even get me started on Christmas. Oh my gosh, all the Christmas carols? that we played or that the piano played during the holidays, oh, it was absolute magic. And when I was younger, I'd always wanted one of these pianos because I couldn't play piano, but I love the piano. And so in my mind, I always thought, whenever I make it someday, I'm going to get me a piano that plays whatever I want it to play. And so I did. Wasn't a brand new piano. I had bought it used, but pianos keep their value. They're pianos. So my grand piano was a symbol of success to me, a huge symbol of success, to be honest with you. It was a marker in how I defined my value because I had achieved the ability to buy this. So in my mind, success equated to self-worth. So then having to get rid of it, man, now that makes me feel like a failure because no piano means no self-worth. Sure, I attained it, but I wasn't successful in keeping it. So in my mind, not only was I not a success, I was actually worse. I was a failure. See, that's the kind of tricks that your mind and emotions can play on you, because we all know that that is not true. And when you speak it out loud like I am, it sounds ridiculous. But that doesn't discount the fact that that is the way that I felt. No piano, no value. So a piano like that isn't exactly an easy thing to sell. So I called the piano place that I bought it from, and again, they gave me nothing for this thing. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And they're like, well, this is what we're offering you. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a joke, right? Like, I literally thought I was maybe going to get like 10 grand for it. And they come back and they're like, yeah, we'll give you 2,200. I'm like, oh my God, really? And then to top it off, the guy calls me back the next day and says, hey, Mrs. McConnell, I'm sorry, but I talked to my manager and we're only going to offer you 2 grand. He legit came down and offered me less than he originally offered me. I don't even think that's legal when you're bargaining like that. That is so uncouth. You don't do that. But I was like, all right, so 2 grand is what your offer is. And he goes, yeah, but we'll pick it up. Oh, thanks. Gee, that's great. So I got rid of my piano for 2 grand, which, okay, sure, 2 grand is a lot of money. Of course not. We all know in the scheme of life, no. Not when you got all this debt you got to pay. But it wasn't like I wasn't going to take it. So thought 2 grand is better than no grand, right? So about a week and a half later, they came and brought their little moving pads and just rolled my piano out my front door, along with my self-worth. Wasn't a very good day, to say the least. It was a rough day. And I actually had memoed that day that they came and took the piano. And as I was listening, one of the things I said was, I probably could have kept this piano. I mean, 2 grand either way wasn't going to save me financially. That was for sure. And it's not like I had heard anywhere in my spirit, in my mind, in my heart, in my anything, that God said, Ange, I want you to get rid of your piano. It made sense, I get it, to get rid of it. But I never actually felt like I was being asked to get rid of it. there was no deep sense inside of me that I absolutely needed to sell it. It was almost like I knew that I could keep it if I wanted to. But I still chose to let it go. And my logic behind that was, all right, I'm making this choice myself because A, it's the responsible choice, and B, it's a way for me to release and get rid of excess emotional baggage that needs to be cleaned up. Now, at this point, I don't think I specifically knew what that emotional baggage was. I hadn't actually connected all of the dots as far as how my personal value had been wrapped up inside of this piano. I don't think I could completely articulate that yet, but I knew that I had some sort of emotional weight on me that needed to go. So in a sense, I was almost taking a risk in equating that weight to having something to do with the piano. But I just knew that I had to make a bold move. I could just feel it inside of myself. And somehow, deep down, I just knew that God was going to honor this choice that I was making to say goodbye to my piano. He may not have asked me to make it, but I felt very confident that he would honor and reward my heart's motivation. And that is what allowed me to be able to let that piano go. That's how I did it. Or rather, that's what gave me the confidence to be able to do it. Because somehow I felt like I was forcing myself to grow. And that felt good. And it also gave me the encouragement and the strength to be able to sell my next item, which was my diamond tennis bracelet that Don had gotten me. He had taken me out to dinner one night, and he just had the bracelet all wrapped up in his hand, and I didn't know that. And we were sitting at the table at dinner, just he and I, and he reached over and he just grabbed my hands and just sort of slid the bracelet from his hand into my hand. And I was like, what is this? I could feel something going in there. And so I pulled my hand back and I saw this bracelet and I was like, whoa. I was speechless. It was amazing and absolutely stunning. And as I sat there staring at it, he looks at me and says, "Thank you for giving me my beautiful babies. I know being pregnant wasn't always easy for you, and I want you to know that I appreciate the sacrifice of your body and your time. And I want you to know that your dedication to our family means everything to me. And I love you, and I just wanted to do something nice for you." Oh my gosh, my Donnie. How sweet and kind he was. So loving and generous. And just as an FYI, for those of you who didn't know me during the pregnant years, my body did not like being pregnant. I did. My body, not so much. And I was always in and out of the hospital, on bed rest, kidney stones, all kinds of crazy stuff. So for Don to recognize all of that in the sense of the personal toll that it took on me, man, that's pretty dang special. So you can imagine what this tennis bracelet meant to me. Besides the fact that I totally enjoyed wearing it just because it was absolutely gorgeous, it had all kinds of sentimental value. It was this amazing gift of love that my husband gave to me to tell me how much he appreciated who I was as a mom and as a wife. But when it came down to it, the monetary value that it held was what the present importance was, and I knew that I'd always have the memory of what that bracelet represented. The gift of love that it was, I knew wasn't going to go away, even if I had to sell it. So, with necessity calling, I sold it. And you better believe I had a huge cry over that one. So, there I was, getting rid of some big ticket items. And it all led to the hardest one of all, which was having to sell my wedding ring. I waited for as long as I could, because I guess deep down there was a part of me that was hoping that I wouldn't have to sell it. And just for a little backstory on my wedding ring, I was very blessed and I had a pretty spectacular wedding ring. I had a nice sized, rather large actually, center stone. And my wedding band was quite loaded with diamonds as well. So I knew it was going to be inevitable that I was going to have to let it go so that I could get the money for it. Now look, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. That ring was so big because I wanted it that way. Because that ring was a marker of my success, which then for me meant that I was worth something. It represented my value. See, in my unhealthy mindset, the bigger it was, then the more obvious my value was to others. Ooh, now we're touching on narcissistic stuff too. Ooh, there's all kinds of good stuff in there, but we're not going to go off on a tangent. I'm simply sharing with you the harmful way that I not only saw myself, but how I thought others saw me too. And it's not easy to admit, let alone expose to everybody out in the universe. But whatever. I am who I am. So, moving along, it got to that point in time where I knew it was time to let go of the ring. And I was able to get it to a jeweler through a contact from my stepmom. And we had a discussion as to whether I should sell the setting separately, keep it all together. And basically the bottom line was that the setting wasn't going to be worth a whole lot, and that by removing the center stone, it would increase its likelihood of selling. So I thought to myself, well, all right, I guess I'll keep my setting then if I'm not going to get very much money, and I'll deal with that later. Just take the stone out and I'll put the setting back in my jewelry box and call it a day. Well, a couple weeks go by and my stepmom comes over and she is the contact to the jeweler and says, hey, I have something for you. She hands me the box. I immediately see it's from the jeweler and I'm thinking, oh, that's nice. You put my setting in a jewelry box for me to keep neatly in my drawer or whatever. And so I really wasn't going to even open it because I know what my setting looks like and I didn't actually want to see it without my main stone in it. I didn't want to see it disassembled. I didn't want to see the representation of what I had already been living in for the last several years. But she said, go ahead, open it. And so I reluctantly opened it. And to my surprise, there was my wedding ring intact, like it had never been touched. The jeweler had put a faux diamond in place of where my original one was. And I'm going to tell you what, this fake diamond was stunning. You couldn't even tell for 1 second that it wasn't real. My ring was polished. All the scratches were gone. It was cleaned. It was shining so brightly. It was exquisite. It hadn't looked like that since the original days of getting it. And I couldn't believe my eyes because I just didn't expect to open that box and still see everything together. That was such a dichotomy to what I felt my life had been the last several years. So seeing it not torn apart gave me hope. It made me feel whole. Obviously, my eyes began to tear up, and I looked over at my stepmom and I said, I don't understand. I thought I was just getting the setting back. She said, well, he knows your story, and he wanted you to have your ring back the way that you knew it. And she said, I tried to pay him for the replacement stone. I tried to pay him for just even the cleaning and the polishing of it, and he wouldn't accept it. And he said to me, your daughter's been through enough. I just want her to have this so she can keep her wedding ring. Telling you what, guys, it's that kind of kindness. It's that kind of generosity. It's that kind of love. It's that kind of hope. That's what keeps us going. What he did for me far outweighed whatever money I got for it. And to this day, my wedding ring means more to me with that fake stone in it than it ever did with the real one. Because now the ring represents something pure. Its beauty is no longer distorted because my value is no longer wrapped up in any of it. So it is just free to shine in the love that it represents. See, that's the whole point of this entire episode. Because I was willing to give up, in essence, my actual self, because I had my valuation in things, by giving those things up by choice, I gained freedom, I gained increased self-awareness, I gained emotional independence, and I gained mental stability. And all of those things together strengthened my character. And now I live in a place of such authenticity because I know what truly defines me. And it's not stuff. There is no thing that has any kind of control or power over me, or that I am dependent on for my emotional security or my mental well-being. And I think the catalyst for me personally was the piano. I had to confront straight on that if the value of the piano was nothing, then did that mean that I was nothing? So in actuality, it became an existential question. And that was the turning point. And because I chose in that moment to seek the answer to the question of my true worth, God did just what I thought He would. He honored my choice. He saw that I was willing and wanting to be honed down and humbled, no matter what the cost or how much it hurt. And my reward was my wedding ring. So choosing to let go of the piano actually allowed me to hold on to my wedding ring, which at the end of the day was the thing that I cherished the most. See, that's how God works, you guys. I'm telling you. So, is there anything in your life that you have an unhealthy attachment to? Something that you don't realize you're allowing to define you? Something that holds way too much emotional power over you? Something that only makes you feel safe because you have it? Not sure? Well, stop and do a self-awareness check and think about a particular item or items that you own, whether it be your wardrobe or your house. What would you do, or how would you feel if you had to sell it or get rid of it? And if it sends you into any kind of a panic or anxiety feeling, or you start preaching a justification sermon, well, then there's your answer. And perhaps it's time to have a garage sale or a trip to the Salvation Army. Look, guys, the bottom line is I just want to give you some food for thought and share some of the things that I learned. And hopefully this episode might give some encouragement to you if you're someone that's been thinking about either scaling down or you're feeling just sort of heavy. Maybe take a look at where you're placing your value. Maybe take a look at what you think gives you your security. Maybe take a look at how your emotions are attached to the things that you have. Just some thoughts, guys. But that's why I like sharing my story, because maybe it will stir something in someone that needs to have a light bulb moment. I didn't ask to have my light bulb moment, but I am beyond thankful and grateful that God gave me the chance to flip that switch. And that, guys, is why it's so important that we share our testimonies, because we all learn from each other's journeys. All right, guys. Gonna wrap her up. Of course, as always, thank you for joining me today and listening. I always appreciate your company and your support. Please like, share, follow, subscribe. The only way that I can bring hope to others is by you guys sharing me someplace, somewhere. Work, friends, family, neighbors. We truly are on a mission together, because I cannot do it without you. So please send me along your path somewhere, guys, and know that I absolutely appreciate all the love and support. So find me anywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, my website, also where you can buy my merch. And also, I have a private group on Facebook. For those of you who want to join, it's called The Bin, and I post there. So come and follow me at The Bin, my private group, on my Facebook page. I guess that's it. So with that, it is time to put this onion back in the bin until we talk again. I hope you guys are going to skip through your day too. See ya!